What do some people take way too seriously? Bar bingo. My boyfriend is a caller and every time I win something I get called the cheater, thinking that it's completely fixed and he's letting me win these Bud Light sunglasses. It's literally all some people have and they're super competitive. It's gotten to the point where some of my social circle seems to think not only pics or it didn't happen, but also posts or you never thought it. They think if you didn't share the meme they posted about ... whatever ... you must not care. If you didn't put a temporary frame around your profile pic, you're close to the latest tragedy. If you didn't like and share the unverified story about some child on the other side of the planet with cancer, you must think cancer is a joke. If you don't repost the political statements they make, you must be with the other guy. I don't have social media so this isn't an issue for me, but I sat on the phone listening to my best friend complain that her boyfriend doesn't post any pictures of her on his Instagram or Facebook. The man doesn't post shit on his account. His last post was of some river he kayaked months before he even met her. I didn't see what the problem was, but apparently he's fucking up. I don't get it, but I guess I'm not as starved for attention as others. Technically yes, but I personally feel that entities like Reddit, Tumblr, and Defani are in a different category that as far as I'm aware doesn't have a proper name. They have a sense of anonymity to them where it's not just a thing you can do but is often expected, and sometimes you can even build up a whole new persona. If you were on Defani when I was you'd probably remember I wanna fuck and so he became a meme enclosed in a funny and single-handedly sprouted the naming meme I wanna blank. They're a very similar but different world and I feel it's important to make this distinction. I put my son in a 5th and 6th grade football program a few years ago. He is mildly autistic and the coach went out of his way to help my son get over the anxieties he had. The reason I'm mentioning this is because that coach ended up quitting before the end of the season. When there were like 3 games left, the assistant coach took over from there. And a couple of the kids' dads were so bossy and overbearing that they almost got into a fight with the coach during the last game. At the beginning of TH season, the guy who was heading the entire program made it clear that this league was for practice and fun, and that none of it was going to lead to scholarships or championships. These 2 dads ruined the entire last game instead of making it fun. I don't think the league had an actual championship, either. I coached soccer for 8 10-year-olds this year. I knew parents were going to be a bit extra coming out of a pandemic school year and that it's hard to coach that age anyway. I was completely unprepared for just how bad it would be. The league made it clear that masks would stay on at all times. Every single person at the field over 3 included. I had a harder time getting the parents to wear them than I did the kids. Out of 6 games, 3 of them had parents from the other team screaming at the teenage refs or my players for something. I told the league admin after our 4th game that I was done and exactly why. They talked me into finishing the season. Those last 2 games were okay, but she stood at our field the entire time. Youth sports are great for the kids but impossible because of parents. Our company had to start a 2nd softball team for people who just wanted to have fun and get a little exercise, as opposed to the guys who thought they were playing MLB. The league was also co-ed, and the bro team couldn't figure out why none of the women wanted to be on their team. Of course, they never actually let the women play, they just needed them on the roster. I was in a local pool league, and our team went to the finals. Almost got violent. The other team was making noise right when we shot, tried to intimidate us, and lied trying to get us disqualified. We won the match. They scattered when we told them it was time to take it outside. We lost our next match, and I quit. It was supposed to be for fun. I played adult soccer years ago when I was younger. It was for exercise and some fun. We weren't the best, but we weren't embarrassing or anything. I quit when we got a coach who basically scolded us constantly and wanted us to practice 2 nights a week. In addition to the 2 games, all the initial fun was gone when the adult rec league became like a second job. I hated it when my dad kept shouting, "Get in there and kick it." Like, even as a little kid I realized that one more person running up to the gaga wouldn't solve the problem. I wouldn't even have been able to reach the ball in the middle, much less be the one to break it up and take the ball downfield. I was much better off where I was, nearby, in a position to take it when it was eventually kicked out. Me too. The kids were pretty young when I started, and parents were chill, but they got more aggro the older the kids got. I've thrown more than a handful of parents, and a couple coaches, out to the parking lot. One time, I literally had to hold the ball and stand there in the middle of the field, hand on hip, until the other parents escorted this jackass parent out to his car. It was educational. As a teen, young adult, dealing with actual adults with maturity levels lower than mine was eye-opening to how the real world was going to work. I'm going on 6 years reffing, and oh my god, they're so much worse now than when I started. I threw a parent out this year when a 12-year-old girl twisted her ankle and this guy just yells "faker." I fucking lost IT as he was walking away. I yelled after him, "She's 12, stop being a prick." Oh, it's insane good now. I made $500 in 10 games the other weekend. Right now, I average just about $45.50/game, depending on age group. Most I made off one game so far is $160, but that was a lucky combination of circumstances. All in all, I pulled roughly $5,000 this year already, and what is taxable will be submitted. Some mods go way overboard, like they're an assistant manager at a chain restaurant on a power trip. It's really crazy to see. Not all mods, obviously. Some just do it for the sake of doing it, but a good amount just do it for the power, I guess. The worst are the ones that stick to their own posts, then tag every post with a hilarious joke they made up, then they ban anyone who speaks up about it. It's just so weird. This sub is pretty relaxed, especially for being such a large subreddit. It's a lot of more medium-sized ones where I see it. I work from home now, but even when I worked at the office I made a point of never arriving before my day's start time, and never staying after my day was over. When my coworkers would ask how I can do that so consistently every day, I remind them that the work will be there tomorrow no matter how long I stay in the office today. Working from home has been far less stressful, and I have become far more efficient than I ever was in the office. No one stops by my desk to chat, and I don't waste time huddled around the coffee pot in the morning talking to coworkers. Most days I finish all my daily work within 6 hours instead of the expected 8. The struggle then becomes finding something to do for those remaining 2 hours. As long as you're hitting your metrics/goals/whatever, you don't need to. That's part of what I love about WFH. When I've completed my goals for the day and don't have any tickets open, I can play video games or walk my dogs for a bit. No need to look busy because there's nobody looking over your shoulder. Thanks for sharing the article. I've always had a sort of suspicion this was the case, after rooming with a few workaholics during the pandemic. Obviously I can't draw any conclusions from just 3 people, but they all did similar things: boasted, complained about how they worked too much, started and ended work at ridiculous hours, and spent a whole lot of time off task in between. I timed one of them one day, just to see, and they spent a total of 12 hours at work, but were only actually sitting at their desk for 5.5 of those hours. Dude, I can't tell you how much my quality of life improved when I switched jobs to one that doesn't pester me on the weekends nor have me travel. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciated all the overtime pay and free travel, but I couldn't hold down a girlfriend for more than 2-3 months at a time, and all I wanted to do when I got home was sleep. My boss is a workaholic and salaried. When we worked in the office, she would arrive at 7:30 a.m. and leave at 6:30 p.m. Then she would work nearly every Saturday as well. I'm fairly sure she still keeps the same hours at now. I did the math once and she makes less per hour than me by doing that. She claims she has to work that much to get everything done, but she's constantly doing stuff that's unnecessary. I know. She complains constantly of other departments needing her help, but she kind of engineers is that way, at least in part by not letting them take the fall. It's not uncommon for people who have side businesses or own farms where I'm from. One of our guys has a pretty solid 6-figure salary in a state where 6 figures is pretty good. And he also owns a decently sized farm with a ton of animals. That's basically a job right there. Another has his own little landscape business, and another does construction work on the side. Investment banking analysts and associates pull hours like this in busy periods. A lot of people who talk about the industry try to make it seem like it's pretty constantly like that and that they're just hard for being able to handle it. In reality, that's maybe 10 to 20% of the time, and nobody enjoys it. It's like that when a deal's deadline is near, and pretty much only then. Maybe if a client makes some bullshit nonsense changes close to another project's deadline as well. Unfortunately, with the type of work you're doing, just having more employees wouldn't really sort anything out. I'm certain there's a better way to handle things, but the solution isn't the simple one. These jobs are almost like a rite of passage onto excellent pay and better working hours in finance. It's maybe a bit backwards, but there's no denying people learn a lot in the 2-3 years they hold these positions for, in part due to the intensity. The film industry did it for 10 years. It wasn't worth it. Waking up at 3 a.m. to make it to set at 5 a.m. to work 6 straight hours non-stop. Not a joke. Eat a 30-minute lunch, then work another 8 hours straight and only get second meal, usually pizza. When you start discussing union shit around the producers, over and over and over, it never ended. I got so fed up with that life I left California entirely to get a job that actually made sense with the hours required. It's kind of everybody all the time. I don't know if it's social media or what, but it seems like everyone suddenly thinks their opinion or viewpoint is important. I don't want to sound like a pessimist or something, but who gives a shit how regular people feel about regular everyday shit? 99% of people don't matter outside their social circle, and it seems like everybody is constantly striving to be noticed and admired and respected by strangers. It doesn't seem healthy. You don't have to be important. Your ideas aren't revolutionary. You aren't unique and special. You're just a person, and that's okay. Youth sports. My son has played travel basketball, baseball, and football for the last 10 years. I've seen fights, near riots, arguments, coaches get thrown out, players get thrown out, umps get thrown out, police called, guns pulled, and most anything else you can imagine. Even when none of that is happening, people just take the whole thing like it's the World Series. Fathers screaming profanity when their kid strikes out or misses a play, coaches shouting at players in the field for making an error, parents taunting kids from other teams, ridiculously poor sportsmanship from everyone. It's utterly ridiculous. My son played one season of soccer and it was ridiculous. One father was screaming at the ref, who was maybe 16, for a couple of calls. These are 8, 9-year-old kids who are just out there trying to have fun. They played one team, where the coach was standing behind the goalie on my son's team. Each time his team got close to scoring, he would yell and make noise trying to distract the goalie. Ooh yes, like generalizations that are obviously meant as many people. Someone says, well, who hasn't had at least one ex they regret, will get a bunch of people bursting into the comments like the Kool-Aid man to say me actually, I'm a virgin and never had a chance at love, saw no bad exes here. Or I married my first girlfriend out of high school, so me, it's like, Jesus, shut up. Holy shit, yes. It's way too common for people to take everything that seriously, even when you point out it's a joke or purposefully hyperbolic for effect. They'll be like, yeah, I know that. No, you clearly do not understand. If you did, you wouldn't have said this. Then they'll go into the whole I'm joking too thing. No, you are a person whose social skills are so shitty you don't understand how normal people interact. DC vs. Marvel. Also, whichever chain has the best burger. It's fine if people are debating it in a tongue-in-cheek way for fun, but, like, some people act as though there's an objective answer to whether Shake Shack, Five Guys / In-N-Out / Whataburger is best. Like, we get it, you have excessive regional pride. Also, holy shit. But Reddit coins and karma. I can't imagine a grown adult caring about that shit at all. How? Question mark. A while ago, I made a comment that got like 1.5k upvotes. I thought, wow, that's a lot. Then I checked my karma, and went, wow, that's a lot more than I expected. Then I went back to scrolling Reddit, and forgot about it until now. My life wasn't changed for the better or worse knowing what my karma was. Also, I haven't figured out how to use /give/get awards, and I don't care enough to learn. Star Wars. I love the movies, but we have a serious problem with toxicity in our fan base. Hayden Christensen stopped acting and Ahmed Best, Jar Jar, nearly killed himself. Not liking the prequels or sequels doesn't give you the right to make those actresses' lives hell. Edit, it was Jake Lloyd who quit acting. Young Anakin. Right, and like, taste in movies is subjective, but I have what many would consider to be generically good taste in movies. My favorites are movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Taxi Driver, Raiders of the Lost Ark, etc. I've mentioned on Reddit that The Last Jedi is my second favorite Star Wars movie, and I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, and insecure Redditors have torn into me like I admitted to being a pedophile. Exactly, like, I've been obsessed with Star Wars since I was making memories. I've gone to numerous midnight screenings of Star Wars movies. When I was a kid I blew way too much money on Star Wars action figures that I never took out of the box because I was convinced they'd be collectibles one day, etc. By the time The Last Jedi was released, I was kind of losing my interest in the franchise. The Force Awakens was just too safe and boring to me. I feel bad that Abrams definitely felt he had to play it safe to avoid the ire of Star Wars lunatics. But I can't say I was very enthusiastic about the idea of seeing The Last Jedi. I just saw it because I felt like I had to. It was so fresh and exciting I almost cried. I'm in my 30s and I'm known for being a very low-key person, and it took all my self-discipline not to run out of the theater and start miming lightsaber moves throughout the mall after the movie ended. It made me feel like a kid again. It was a magical experience, but apparently I'm a horrible person for enjoying it. Never mind the fact that critics loved it too. It's just such an incredibly amazing movie. I actually love the movie Blockers for this reason. It had positive messages for teen sex. There was a huge UD theme. The three teen girls in the movie just unconditionally accept and love the friend that comes out as a lesbian, the one that's not ready to have sex yet. It's totally cool. She's not portrayed as an annoying uppity prude, and the one that is ready for sex isn't portrayed as aggressive or slutty. And all the teen boys in the movie are so chill and respectful to the girls about it. I especially loved one of the mothers in the movie that thinks her husband, the dad, is an idiot for trying to stop daddy's little girl from having sex. She's like, dude, she's a young woman, she's old enough to take care of herself and decide what she wants to do, let her figure it out and just be there for her, all while still being a hilarious screwball comedy. And they weren't preachy about any of this. It was refreshing, and truly lovely.